was actually very abstract and not particularly fun at all. So we really kind of wound back on that because I think, the control stick exists for a purpose. Everyone is very comfortable with the joystick, and it seems like...
also just got those hats we put there.
That's right, exactly. Did you bring yours along, Tess? Good. And I think the thing there is that it's a very time when you feel very nervous because you're putting forward a control suite which really hasn't been played with before. And while it's easy to learn how to become comfortable with something that you've made yourself, it's very difficult to be, have the confidence that other people will pick it up and go, yeah, I get this. I feel comfortable with how this works and I understand what it's doing. So we really kind of sweated the control suite throughout the production. We'll talk a little bit more about that further on. And so the size of the game also was going to be dictated by the amount of time we had. So we had a very small level design team, 2 people, and none of them had ever worked on a game before. They were both brand new recruits. And so we thought we'll do 12 levels, and we had a rough idea of how much time it would take to build a level. And really the lowest priority for us in making the game was actually to have any kind of story or any kind of sort of narrative flavour for the game. We really wanted to focus on the gameplay and not to get too caught up in what I think often is very distracting, is getting caught up in story, because I think a story will kind of lead you to make kind of decisions around the design of the game which later on can become quite indefensible just because you're clinging on to some fictional reason. So this is where we start. I guess, what does Blob look like and how does it work? Terry, you're an artist. Tell us.
All right, yeah. You thought I was here just to look pretty. Well, I am, but also to show you some pictures. Okay, so we picked on an urban style. This was so we could put the game together.
Put it in the city.
Put it together fairly easily as city blocks, which just made level design easier and faster. Don't forget this was a short-term game. Also, that gave us inspiration for graffiti, street style, and then eventually vinyl toys. We had...
and I've got to say that was a particularly nerve-wracking moment, making a game in Australia that had a distinct graffiti flavour. And many people kind of asked us, are you worried that the game will be banned in this country because it has elements of graffiti? And I think that we really did try and play it down so that G word is never actually mentioned in the game. So
this is very true. There's an effort, we maintained an effort to keep graffiti out of it, but to maintain the style. You'll see how that goes as we go through the presentation. We had to have an adversary, and we created the Inked Corporation based on the demo. Based on the Dutch guys. But we reimagined them. We had a cool new vision for how these guys would look and act in the game. And a protagonist, the Blob. Now he was an absolute fucking headache to make, which I'll explain later. Okay, so we've got the urban style, the graffiti flavours, and the vinyl toys. Vinyl toys, we all love vinyl toys. Come on, you've all got vinyl toys somewhere on your PC. Yeah, come on, you have. Yeah, sure.
There's one way with the vinyl toy.
Yeah, I know. Shh.
But if I can jump in, I think the important thing with the vinyl toy is that we really got excited by the blanks, right? The idea that you could get vinyl toys that are white and design them yourself, right? And I think that playing around with that idea and thinking of the world as a vinyl toy, as something that you can customize, as something you can decorate, was really one of those breakthrough moments early on in the design. To think about how we can create a world that is a toy, a level environment that is a canvas for the player to explore.
This is true. And they're also really cute and very simple, and that was key for us as well. Okay, so this was like the first concept image produced for the game. Nick and I had discussed at length what we wanted to do with the style for it. Nick, as producer, had a vision for how he wanted the game to play out. As art director, I was just desperate to get my claws into this game and start to explore what we can do with it. So we produced this image, and the little fella down here is Inky, based on the character from the Dutch demo, but re-envisaged. And he stayed pretty much the same throughout the entire game. It's just one of those moments where you do something, it looks great, everyone loves it, and it just stays like that. The rest of it got redesigned and reconceptualized as we went on. Okay, so having created some images for the style, having decided we're going to do this kind of cute, blocky, urban, graffiti-less styled place. We then had to try and convince people this was the right thing to do. So we're trying to convince THQ that this was a great look for the game, trying to get people behind it. So we had to produce a short movie, which didn't demonstrate much in the way of gameplay, but just got the style across to try and get people invested in it.
THQ live review, there was sort of silence and a what the fuck moment from pretty much everyone in the room, and it was, I don't know, it's difficult to go, wow, you know, we've got this great idea, and it sort of looks like that. But anyway, I think the hard thing there is that the main character was yet undefined.
I think it was the main character was the main issue.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so following on from the Dutch demo, we envisaged a character that was much like theirs. It was this alien, spherical, I can't say that word, what was that?
He seemed very stupid, right? It just seemed like no one wants to play a video game character where the guy is kind of really
stupid.
Stupid, I think is the most polite way we could explain it. But
stupid and ugly.
Yeah, and
So there was work cut out for us there. But the world everyone was kind of getting into, and that was definitely taking off. So here are some further explorations of the art. As you can see, we're concentrating primarily on grey world here, and that was a bit of a problem for us. Later on down the track, we realised we'd actually spent too much time on grey world and hadn't envisaged colour world properly, so we had to retrofit a lot of colour stuff back into it. Primarily because we wanted to make grey world look so attractive and interesting. We want to get you in there, want you to colour the place up. And the original idea for that was something like a canvas or an architect's drawing that is just there to be coloured. It's supposed to make you want to come in and splash colour around the place. So here's some of the further design concepts for levels. Further concepting, this is concepting the ideas of the transformation. So you'd have these inky municipal buildings, which we would then transform and create some awesome work of art, concert hall, whatever it has to be.
I think if we could just go back to that, critically, the image down below was really one of those moments when we were looking at the game and the whole music idea started to come out. You started thinking, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the music was playing and the buildings were moving and things were happening in time, and this is where the whole idea of the interactive music thing started to really, I don't know, get cooking, but a little bit later we'll talk some more about that.
Yeah. The world was still looking pretty bland at that stage, and it wasn't until the music kicked in that you really realised what was going to happen when this started to kick off. Okay, so we used pre-visualization, not just 2D concepts, but also movies to explore all the possibilities for gameplay and special effects, all the stuff we wanted to do later on, but didn't have the coder time or the resources to get done in pre-production. So we had the artists and the animators working full-time, just visualizing loads and loads of stuff. This is painting buildings. That's how we want it to look. We saw some cool MTV clips and commercials that used that ribbon style. Put it on the character in a previs, and it looked great, so we decided to use that in the game. Right. Going into...
Well, just more to that, I think. One of the reasons why we did